All right, let's dive into one of the biggest paradoxes in the Bible. We're going to talk about a book that's so short you could literally miss it with one blink. But its message? Whoa, it's been shaking things up for thousands of years. We are talking about the book of Obadiah. So get this, the entire book is just 21 verses long. 21. You could read the whole thing, start to finish, probably in like 2 minutes flat. It's the shortest book in the Old Testament, just this tiny little sliver of a text. Super easy to just flip right past it. But here's the crazy part. Packed into those few lines are these huge, epic themes. I'm talking betrayal, justice, and what happens when pride goes totally off the rails. So that's the big question we're asking today, right? How on earth does this tiny little book pack such a massive punch? Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we've got to go back to the beginning. And it all starts with family drama. Seriously, this isn't some random political fight. It's a story about two nations that started out as brothers. You see, it all goes back to these twin brothers, Jacob and Esau. Now, Jacob's line becomes the nation of Israel, and his brother, Esau, his descendants become the nation of Edom. So what started as, a classic sibling rivalry, well, it just festered for centuries. This bad blood poisoned the relationship between their nations, and that ancient bitterness sets the stage for everything that's about to happen. So all that simmering hostility, it finally just explodes. Obadiah's prophecy focuses right in on this one single catastrophic moment. It's the moment this brotherhood is put to the ultimate test. And spoiler alert, they fail. Big time. And just listen to the language here. The accusation isn't against some random enemy. It's because of the violence against your brother, Jacob. That word brother is everything. This isn't just a political misstep. It's a deep, personal, family betrayal. And it happens at the absolute worst possible time for Israel, right as their capital city, Jerusalem, is being destroyed. And you've got to understand, this wasn't just a case of them not helping. Oh no. Obadiah lays out the charges, and it's bad. The Edomites weren't just standing on the sidelines. They were cheering on the destruction. They jumped in to loot the city. And, this is the worst part, they actually blocked the roads to stop people from escaping. They captured survivors and handed them over to the enemy. They weren't bystanders. They were active participants. And that right there is the heart of it. Obadiah's message is absolutely timeless and honestly kind of chilling. It's this. When you see your brother suffering, standing on the sidelines and doing nothing isn't being neutral. When you're facing that kind of injustice, indifference itself becomes a crime. So you have to ask, what makes a nation act like this? How do you get to a place where you're not just ignoring your brother's pain, but you're actually celebrating it? Well, the book says it all comes down to one thing, one single fatal flaw: pure, uncut arrogance. You see, Edom's geography basically fed their massive ego. They lived up in these crazy, rugged mountains. Think about their famous city, Petra, literally carved out of solid rock cliffs. I mean, these were natural fortresses. It made them feel completely untouchable, invincible. And that feeling of safety, it made them blind to everything else. And Obadiah just calls them out on it straight up. He says, "The pride of your heart has deceived you." In other words, their confidence in their high-tech fortresses and their awesome location had totally blinded them. They started to believe their own hype, and that's always a dangerous game. But the prophet's response? It's so simple and so devastating. Basically, you think your walls are high enough? Think again. No fortress you can build, no matter how tall, can protect you from accountability. Your sense of security, it's just an illusion. All right, so this whole takedown of Edom's pride, it's not just about them. This is where the book does something amazing. In the final verses, the camera suddenly zooms way out, and what started as a story about one nation becomes this universal principle for everyone. Yeah, suddenly the story isn't just about Israel and Edom anymore. Edom's fate becomes, well, it's like a case study, a blueprint for how justice works on a global scale. What happened to them is meant to be a lesson for every single nation out there. And then, boom, verse 15 hits, and the whole thing just explodes in scope. The day of the Lord is near upon all nations. See that? Not just Edom, all nations. The principle couldn't be clearer. The way you treat others is eventually how you will be treated. It's like a universal law of moral accountability.
So up to this point, it sounds pretty bleak, right? All doom and gloom and judgment. But just when you think you know where this is going, the book makes this incredible pivot. Because it turns out that judgment, well, that's not the end of the story.
And this is it, the very last verse of this tiny book. After all the betrayal, all the pride, all the judgment, the final word is actually hope. It's about restoration. It basically says that all the arrogant kingdoms of the world, with their temporary power, they don't get the last say. In the end, only one kingdom will truly last. And so, this ancient little book leaves us with a question that feels like it could have been written yesterday. It kind of forces us to look in the mirror at our own lives and our own world and ask a really tough question. In moments of crisis, when we see injustice, do we step up and act like a brother, or do we just stand by and watch? Obadiah's point is that the choice we make has consequences that are, well, eternal.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us.